that fear, I think, is rooted in our mammalian response in some ways, especially with regards to that weakness you're talking about, because a number of years ago, there was a friend, a neighbor of ours, brought this cute little kitten. I'm going to say not quite full grown, but and it was friendly, and it was full of flies, and just very friendly. And they brought it to the vet, and it turned out this poor thing was so close to death. But the vet explained that animals, when they get injured in the wild, because the weak are the ones that get preyed upon, they bury the pain. They act normal as they can in order to try and appear not weak. And I think that's part of what we are doing. I think you've hit something very squarely on the head. Our fear moves us into an area where we bury it and do whatever we can to appear not weak now, including avoiding really, as opposed to just going ahead and doing whatever that thing is that makes us fearful.
Right. Well, I mean, the reason that this, I think, is so important to start identifying in our lives as fear, and understanding that it is more of a flag than it is something that we need to react to as much. When we can rationalize and understand and know that we're being fearful in any given situation, I think that we can actually see what's making us afraid, and take action in our lives to either circumvent that, like to avoid it. Like fear's a really good detection, like you said earlier, of where we need to, what we need to be aware of.
It's something we need to look at.
Yeah. And that we can utilize it to do that. But we are so into mislabeling those fears and trying to not be weak, as you're talking about, that we totally miss the opportunity to grow. Now, you and I have been in personal growth for a long, long time. And so we've really taken a look at our own fears and how we react to them. And we're really, really conscious of what we're thinking.
Yeah, right? I just let myself around once in a while.
Yeah, exactly. But we're really, really conscious and focused on what we're thinking, right?
False evidence appearing real, yes. But it's also, if we take that same feeling and change it to feeling excited and ready.
Feeling excited and ready. Got it.
Yeah, because the feelings, the endorphins and everything else you're talking about that are attendant with fear are the exact same ones that are attendant with excitement. And if we can take that and change it over to feeling excited and ready, then we can take those same things and have them propel us forward instead of hold us back.
Well, and definitely there's those techniques to be able to move through it, and figuring out how to do that. I'm just trying to make people aware of what it is that we do, right, and how that affects our lives in general. Oh, okay. So when I look at fear as the flag that I'm talking about, it also makes me really question my internal working, and what it is that I'm afraid of. And when we mislabel fear, when we say fear is like, I'm not afraid, I'm just upset, or I'm just, right? And when we deny what it is that we really are, it's like when I'm uncomfortable, I go, well, there's some fear involved in that. Mm-hmm. There's I'm afraid this is going to happen. Or if you're in a relationship with somebody else, and you're in a love relationship with somebody else, there is always a taste of fear that you're going to lose that on an imagined level. That you could lose that. And so there's that fear dictates a lot of our actions. Like if you know that the wife is going to be angry that you bought a CD player or something, right? Like you can tell I'm an antiquated here. So the wife will be ticked off at you if you went out to eat and you didn't get her anything, right? There's fear that plays a part in my decision making of should I go out and buy that McDonald's burger without bringing one home for my wife. And then what entails from that is, okay, well, I'm afraid that she's going to be angry with me, right? So I'm gonna buy that burger with cash so she didn't know I had it, and I'm not going to mention it. But you can see how fear dictates.
The little gyrations, the little gyrations that fear creates in us,
But it's something that I find that most people don't even understand that decision-making process in their lives, that fear is such a big part of it. And what I want to do is I want to demystify fear and say to feel fear is not weakness, because from understanding the root of fear and how it affects us in such a huge way, because this emotion, this feeling, this word that we're talking about really affects everything that we do and why we do it.
I get that, because all of the primal emotions are operating all the time and making judgment calls in our subconscious that we pull up and use or don't use or misuse in our everyday lives.
Well, and with consciousness, and like I said, you and I have been studying ourselves for quite a long period of time, right? We don't look at the world as the world to us, but us to the world, and that's a different perspective. So we go inside and we take a look and we find all of the things that we can know about ourselves, and we go, oh, that's why I do that. I do that because I'm afraid, and this fear is based on I don't want to be painful, I don't want to be ostracized from society. However that is, it's an analytical process that most people don't go through. But it's once we discover that we're motivated by those things, then we can change them. Like rationally, we can just go, oh, okay, that's not a rational thing for me to be fearing at this moment.
And let's not be flippant, and I was a little bit flippant earlier. It is a simple process, but it's not always simple to implement in our lives. But
well, I mean, it's based on
if we're committed to the habit of noticing, then it is simpler, if you will.
Well, consciousness to me is the start. It's the start of that process. When you start being conscious of awareness, consciousness to me, awareness of all of the things that you're thinking and doing, and the reasons why you're thinking and doing those things. Like, I mean, when you say that I've got a habit, I love grabbing my cigarette, and I love putting it up to my face, and I love lighting that stuff, and I love inhaling that stuff into my lungs. It sounds like that process sounds really bad, but having been a smoker, I understand how good that can feel, right?
Me too, unfortunately.
How good that can feel, and how much attachment that I put in the joy in my life and pretend that it was from that. So I can see how those habits we rationalize and they feel good and it's wonderful, but when you start to really break them down and understand the reasons, like why did I start smoking? I can tell you why I started smoking. I started smoking when I was 14 years old, when people were accusing me of smoking when I wasn't smoking. And my whole attitude was, screw you guys, I'm just going to start smoking. Then you guys won't tease me about it.
Yeah, mine was nearly as lame as yours.
Oh, lame is it?
I was sitting in a small kitchen every weekend playing games, backgammon and other games with 3 other people, and they all 3 smoked, and I was smoking anyway. It was my rationalization. So on weekends I started smoking with them, and it was a natural. I didn't choke or anything, and I inhaled. 20 years later, I finally quit.
Yeah, it took me 20 years actually, pretty much the same.
And I was
24.
20, and I was 28 years old when I started.
Yeah, I was 14.